Welcome. It is so nice to meet you. I saw you backstage, but I'm very excited that this is your first time on a talk show and first ever TV appearance.
Yeah, it is.
I'm lucky. How are you feeling?
I imagine this is what it feels like to have a heart attack.
I know.
The beginning of the heart attack. I imagine this is what it's like. It's a pretty horrible experience. But
No. Congrats.
It really helped that my wife said yes to this before. She finds it's more efficient if she says yes to things without consulting me because things move along quicker.
You would say no to this.
I would have tried to get out of it. My agent called me a flight risk earlier today, so it's,
when this is your 8th bestseller, by the way. This is amazing. What you do. This is an amazing piece of work. Was this always what you wanted to do? Did you want to be an author? Did you always want to get into
No,
writing?
I didn't. I never thought about becoming an author. I still don't want to be an author.
That's fair.
I tried to tell stories. There was just I wanted to, if I lived in medieval times, I would have a funny hat and a lute and walk from town to town and sing songs.
That's what you do.
I don't know. It's and when I was in high school, I think we had these. I got involved with the theater kids, and there was a cabaret show at the end of the year, and I figured out very early on that I wasn't funny on stage, but I had friends who were funny, and I figured, but they couldn't write jokes, and I thought this is going to work out.
I'll write the jokes and you deliver.
I wrote for them, and they got a laugh, and that laugh kind of meant more to me than if I had gotten it myself, and that's when I started to figure out that maybe this is something that I could, navigate somehow in some way. And I think that's how I learned to write for different characters with different voices. I think that kind of prepared me for writing novels because all my friends were funny in different ways. So I had to write different jokes for them.
These books have taken you all over the world, and you've met all these great people. Have you met any comedians or any heroes of yours? You're like, oh, that's a great guy.
I'm meeting you right now. That's a pretty big deal.
Come on, bud. Come on, bud.
Two of my best childhood friends are in the audience. They're super psyched.
Welcome.
I've been talking about how nervous I am, and they're like, yeah, but this isn't about you. This is about our experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can't they have one thing?
But the closest I've been was last year. I gave my American publisher was having a big celebration, 100-year celebration, and they were so they invited me to give a speech, and there were 35 authors that were going to give a speech, and I came there again. My wife said yes. Efficiency. I came there and I walked in, and there were all these amazing authors, big authors, real authors that I look up to and heroes of mine. And I thought this was a bad idea because my speech was all stupid jokes because I don't know how to write a speech. What do I know? So I went out and I gave the speech, and I felt this was probably really, really stupid. Like they're not going to enjoy that I just went up and made jokes.
Yeah.
So I came back to the green room and I thought that this was probably a really bad idea.
Yeah,
and then in the green room, I could see out of the corner of my eye the CEO of the publisher. He walks around the corner. I'm like, well, this was a nice career as long as it lasted.
He's going to fire me in
and
person.
He walks over. He looks around. He sees me. He walks over and he looks at me and he goes like, "I heard your speech. I was sitting next to Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry laughed, and he just
yes.
And he
love you, Jerry.
And he tapped me on the shoulder and he left. And I thought maybe he was lying. I don't care. I'll take it."
Yeah.
And then someone came over and they asked very nicely, like, he's very busy. It's we probably can't arrange it. But if we could, would you like us to try to introduce you to Mr. Seinfeld? And I was like, absolutely not. Under no circumstance. Like if he laughed at one of my jokes, that's the most he's ever going to like me. There's only downhill from here.
Yeah.
He's going to find out I'm a moron. It's the best I'm ever going to do. So
yeah, I don't want to meet him. Yeah.
But that's how I felt when I heard that you were going to read the book. I felt if you'd like it, then that's the most you're ever going to like me. And if you hate it, that's also the most you're ever going to like me.
Yeah, it's true.
This is why I don't do TV.
I know. I read it and I
I-
liked it, but now meeting you in person, I like you even more.
Yeah, well, it'll pass. It'll pass. Give it time.
I read this. I didn't want it to end. I loved it so much. I read it on Kindle, which I don't know if you've ever tried doing that, but I've read it on a Kindle because I can highlight things on the Kindle and then it saves it in the files. And I didn't know, but you can print out all the lines you highlighted from the books. These are all the things that I highlighted from your book. That I was like, I mean, they're genius lines. I'm like, but. Like,
My mom does this too, but it's with notes like this is poor grammar or this is like
yeah, I'm kind of like that, but I just think the ones that make me laugh, or even like her husband, an old man with a watch the size of a grown turtle and pants so tight his butt looks like it has its own butt. That made me laugh. I like adults often think that self-confidence is something a child learns, but little kids are, by their nature, always invincible. It's self-doubt that needs to be taught. Oof. I mean, yeah, I mean, lines like that. Then, you think you're going to be young forever, but suddenly you reach an age where getting up from a chair can't be taken for granted. It requires planning. That's really funny. Just so many good. I love this book so much, and I also want to say I love the dedication. The dedication, you said, to anyone who is young and wants to create something, do it. We have a lot of young people that watch our show. Why was that the dedication?
in trying to make it a short story. I mean, I have one idea and I write 400 pages, so I'm not equipped to tell short stories. But it's I handed in the first draft of this book to the people that I work with, and they reacted the way that you react when you don't want to insult someone's cooking. Like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah. Oh.
This is a new direction for you? Is this was this a conscious choice, or are we experimenting? And they came back, and it sent me into a really, really bad place in my head, and I struggle a lot with depression and anxiety, always have, and so I went into this place where I just felt like I think I'm going to retire from writing, because whatever I had, I don't have anymore. Like, I can't, the thing that I have in my head, I can't get it onto paper. I can't make them feel the things that I want them to feel. And I just spiraled, and my wife sat me down eventually, the way she does, and she said, you know, it's not that they don't like the book, it's just that it's very, very dark. It's the darkest I've ever seen you write, and it's because you're in a dark place right now, and not as a husband, not as a father. You're semi-functional, you know, as far as we can expect you to be. But I can see that you struggle as a writer, and that's such a big part of your identity. And I can see that you struggle, and I can't help you, and I don't know what to do. But I think you need to find some hope and some redemption, not for the story, but for you. And so I took that, had a breakdown, you know, walked the dog for a few weeks, and then...
Is the dog still with us?
The dog is still with us. The dog hears a lot.
Yes.
But came back, and I just had this feeling that if this is my last book, if I don't have it anymore, because I think there's going to be a point like that, then who would I want the book to be for? And I sat down and I wrote that dedication to anyone who's young and wants to create something, because it's, I don't want to write for the critics. I don't want to write for the cool people. I don't want to write to impress anyone. I wanted to write it for someone who is, you know, 16, 17, 18, and I want them to read it and feel like, yeah, I can do this. Yeah. I mean, it's not that hard. And I tried to make a structure out of it so that it would
But it is hard, though, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard for me. But I don't know what I'm doing.
But to a kid who's 16, we let them know that this is not just first draft comes like this, and you go, yeah, done, easy, bye, later.
I try to tell that story because I feel like there's an impression sometimes that people think that you sit down and you just write it. Yeah. And it just falls out. And it was, I've never struggled as much. My confidence has never been lower. And I genuinely decided to retire while writing it because I felt I don't have it anymore. So this is a big whiplash from that to here. This is a lot to take in.
I'm happy that we.
But I did write it for someone who is young. I hope that it's a structure of a story that you can take and make your own.
You write so well for young people. You write as young people. There's an 18-year-old that you write perfectly for. There's 14-year-old kids that you write. How do you write? I met your beautiful kids backstage. Are they the inspiration for writing for those kids of that age?
Yeah, they were very well behaved today. Right?
They were really great.
They were very impressed that I was coming here. I was cool for a minute because I was going to do this. For a minute, and then they remembered who I really was.
Oh, no.
But it's, I was struggling with, there are two sets of teenagers. There's the teenagers, there are two stories, one that takes place 25 years ago, one that takes place now. The teenagers 25 years ago, I knew them because I grew up around them. I knew how they talked, I knew who they were. But then there's an 18-year-old now. And whenever, I can't try to write teenagers because it's going to be like the meme, you know, the hat backwards and the hello fellow kids.
Holding a skateboard, yeah.
It's not going to work.
Steve Buscemi, Hello fellow kids.
It's it's just gonna be fake.
It's gonna feel fake.
But
it feels so real.
I looked for the voice. I looked for her. The 18-year-old, her voice, her way of delivering dialogue. And then I had, I made the terrible mistake of talking to my 12-year-old daughter about skinny jeans because I saw on the internet that young people were talking about skinny jeans.
Young people,
when I was young, skinny jeans were they were skinny jeans. You had to cut them open to get out of them. But now, what they call skinny jeans now, that's just pants. And I made a mistake. I asked my daughter, I pointed to my jeans and I was like, are these skinny jeans? And she looked at her mother the way Chachi does, like why is it speaking? And her mother tried to help, bless her heart. And So she leaned over and said, I think Dad is just trying to figure out if you're embarrassed by him when you go out in the public. And I'm like, not at all what I asked. You're not even, not close. Just wanted to know about the pants.
I just want to actually know
I just
about the
wanted to know about the pants. And then my daughter turned around to her mother and went well, I'm embarrassed about other things if he wants a list. And I was like, that's the voice.
That's the voice. I got the voice. If you want the list, I can give to him.
So that's how I found the voice.
It's called My Friends. It's about friendship from years ago. Two totally different generations. Strangers meet and tell stories about this friendship, and it's a story about art and growing and understanding. There's so much joy and laughter and great lines in this. And this is a big deal. This is the Fallon Book Club. We give everyone a pin.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, please don't cry. Your kids are watching. But this is a pin. I'll give it to you here. Can we get that there? Look at that. That's a real. That's our. Not like you're ever gonna wear this, but maybe you'll wear it one day with
I'm gonna wear it all the time.
With your skinny jeans. Yeah.
I'm gonna wear it at home in front of my kids. So know that I'm a big deal.
Yes, you are a big deal. Your dad is so cool, by the way. He's the best. Thank you for being on. Come back. Fredrik Backman, everyone, My Friends, is available everywhere books are sold. Long performance for us after the break. Stick around, everybody.